wanna get away, but I could use some company. If you're alone like me, we could go on a trip. Girl, I wanna see that.
Welcome to the Charge Room show. Tonight is Thursday night. This is Where's My King's Night. So we are here tonight talking to the men about topics that men go through or want to learn about. And so we're here tonight and I'm super excited about it. It's a great week that we had because we were going through different topics that we want to talk about. And the topic that we have tonight is, did you mirror your parents? So a lot of times, we're growing up in our households and we're just living life, we're doing what our parents say do, and we want to do it so we don't get a beating, right? Because back in the days, I know when I was growing up, we got beat with extension cords, broomsticks, whatever, a pot, whatever your parent picked up, that was your discipline for whatever that was. So, nowadays, people, because of the different child care laws, the laws are different now. So you can't go and get an extension cord anymore because that's considered child abuse. Go figure, right? So, but in my time, we got beat with anything, whatever somebody had. And not only that, my father, his famous discipline was in the 1970s. They had these big, thick leather belts. So not only did they have big, thick leather belts, the leather belts had this big metal buckle on the end. And if you got hit with that, baby, the whelps were serious. They were just so serious. But again, we're here tonight to, talk about, did you mirror your parents? Because I have a video clip. And I'm praying it's going to play tonight. But I have a video clip where a gentleman was discussing how you are a product of your environment. You're a product of how you are raised, because whatever you're raised with, that's the type of woman that you would encounter. But I say that goes for men as well, because I can relate. I definitely can relate, and I identify myself with what he's saying. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play the clip so everyone can get an idea of the topics that we're going to talk about. So anyone that's in a relationship, your relationship is kind of sludgy, your relationship is kind of sideways, kind of quiet, kind of in a corner, we're going to talk about it tonight. Share this session, because we are all about working together, building better relationships with ourselves and building better relationships with others. So I'm going to play the clip now. Hold, please.
A lot of times what we see in our own households is translated to the women that we meet. See, I went in my relationship with my wife not trusting her, not trusting women. I said I did. I wanted to trust her wholeheartedly. I did, but I didn't because of what I saw, what I was taught. We teach our children violence. We teach our children fear. We teach them how to steal, how to lie. We teach them how to not be stand up. When you see somebody, the way they act is a reflection of what they come up around, who raised you.
So y'all heard the gentleman speak, right? So tonight I have a few kings on. We're just going to talk about it. So we have King K-Wise, and we also have King Andre. Hi, gentlemen. How y'all doing? And
Hi.
How's it going? How's your day? So welcome to the
Smooth.
Charge Room tonight. So y'all heard the video. Y'all heard the video, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to start off with, did you mirror your parents? Do you agree with what he's saying, right? How do you, can you relate to what he's saying?
Definitely, I can relate
Who
to
would
it.
like to go? Would you like to go first?
Definitely. No, I'll let you go.
All right. Peace first. um, I can relate and not relate because there's something. Like I said, my household, my father was like the reflection of James Evans of Good Times. You
Right.
know, the belt that you talked about, absolutely. I'll never forget that belt. That belt was a size 40. All right,
Mm-hmm.
a size 40, that thick of cowhide leather, you know, and when he hit you with that bad boy, it was as if the sound of thunder just left your whole body, just left you breathless. You know what I mean? So, but with that part, I didn't initiate that really with my kids too tough. I could say that I kind of changed more where I used the method of the stare, the famous, infamous father stare, where
Mm-hmm.
it didn't take much to say anything. It was just the look enough that put the fear guard in you. So that way, yeah. My mom's, she was like Mike Tyson. So when she hit you with that left, that was it. So I never had to. She ain't never had no problems out of me at all. So, but definitely, some of the things that we absorb from our parents' teachings is in a lot of us. So, especially me with education and uh, manifesting the love, certain parts. Now, my mom's was more of the showing the love. My father was more of the hard, tough love that really didn't come so much verbally, you know. So I kind of flipped that script because I want my kids to know, no matter what, I love you. Make sure my words are that you hear it and understand it and feel it for yourself to know that I love you. But yeah, we are the products of our own environment from which we grew up in, and then we add our own substances to it as we grow up. So we take it, we absorb it, and then we sponge out what we give.
Dre.
So the part that really latched on to me is when he was speaking about going into relationships and not really trusting it, but still putting yourself into that situation anyway. Do you hear echo? Okay. Yeah, so how I was raised, right? I didn't have no father there, so I had my mom's, my grandmother, and my aunt. So it was just owned mainly women in my house. And they were just too strong. They were just too strong. So it wasn't really like a high level of nurturing that was being brought about. Um, it wasn't too many like I love yous, I'm proud of yous, that type of thing. Um, my mom kind of was the one that was more so on the softer side, but she was caught up in an addiction, so I didn't really get to see too much of her. Uh, so like those feelings of resentment and those feelings of abandonment, definitely something that like it took me to a whole nother place, brought me to a level of depression. Like I cheated on like every girl I ever had. Like with the distorted, it's the yo. I had the most, and this is me like introspecting over mad years of understanding. So like I had this crazy like notion that if if I did something to make you leave, it would be okay. But if you left like on your own, like it would damage me. It's when I finally realized like that's what I was doing, I was just like, wow, it's mad traumas from my mother, her abandoning me, and me internalizing that and taking it to violence and aggression. because I did a lot of those, just blacking out, spazzing out, punching stuff, fighting people, you know, not really understanding or expressing myself positively or productively. It just wasn't working out. I didn't really care about none of that. Um, and I sit back and I look at certain situations that I had with females, and how damaged I made them based upon me and these traumas, me not really seeking too much help for them. But like, so when he said that, like, that really hit me, man. Like, I really did want to do the right thing, where you want to trust you and do this and that. I really did, but I ain't even trust myself enough, you know.
I
So
get,
that one hit me. That part hit me.
I get it. Bertrand, I don't know if you saw the video, but if we were talking, oh wait a minute, he's on mute. Hold on.
Um,
Can,
maybe you guys can feed me and let me know what's going on in that. Yeah, I
well,
don't want you to repeat it. Well,
well, how about this? I'll play the video for you. Hold on.
A lot of times, what we see in our own households is translated to the women that we meet. See, I went in my relationship with my wife not trusting her, not trusting women. I said I did. I wanted to trust her wholeheartedly. I did, but I didn't because of what I saw, what I was taught. We teach our children violence. We teach our children fear. We teach them how to steal, how to lie. We teach them how to not be stand up. When you see somebody, the way they act is a reflection of what they come up around, who raised you.
hmm.
So we're talking about you being raised in an environment. How did it affect you from a child? How did it translate into your adult life and you being in relationships? How did you pick your mates? Did you treat them a way where how your father treated your mother, or how your mother treated your father, or how your parents may have treated you?
Hmm. That's a very interesting question because I grew up basically without my mother. I was separated from my mother at the age of maybe perhaps 4.
Okay.
So most of my early development was with my father. And as a result of that, there was a separation because, I mean, first of all, I was born in London. So if my dad now separated from my mom, he now took us back home to a place called Nigeria.
Right.
Uh, um, you know, um, so I kind of grew up from there without my mother, and then grew up with my father. Then there was a stepmother. Do you know what I mean? So I was more like a tearaway. I wasn't really didn't really feel like I belonged at home, even though I had my older siblings. Um, I was basically on my own. Basically, I had to figure out things by myself. You know what I mean? I didn't really have, but talking about early socialization and seeing what I mean, from a very young age, I saw my father in a violent rage, towards my mother, and it was not a good thing to see. You know what I mean? And over the years, I've come to realize that okay, there were certain things involved. Their relationship was their relationship. Alcohol was involved. Um, so people, my father was, yeah, as good as he was with his job and everything, he had his faults. And I got to research all of that, what was going on in his mind, what was going on in my mother's mind, and I got to realize that he was like, I'm not going to defend anybody because I know I gotta tell you this, but he was the only surviving child of his mom, so he was spoiled rotten. So he didn't have any siblings. He had cousins, but didn't have any kind of like siblings at home that he had. He was the only surviving child of his mother, coming from a polygamous family. So anyway, um, my mom was somebody that's very educated as well. So there was always this clash between them. Doing stuff, and there's always that lacking, and there was always that argument that would cause them to fight, and you know. Well, rest his soul. He's passed on. He's passed on about 7 years ago now. So I can't speak ill of the dead. I investigated and found out what was going on, and I kind of found out that he regretted everything that he did that was bad towards my mom, which is his first wife. So they got on well after all. But in terms of whether their influence, I mean, that's a really, really serious question because for me, growing up as a child, my present wife, I knew her from when I was in primary school.
Right.
I knew her when I was young, like I'm talking about 7, 8, 9 years old. So I liked her from day one. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just disturbing her life. I had to make sure that she knew who I was, even from maybe 30 years later on. So here we are. We're married now. We've been together like since 2011. That's 10 years now. We've been like together, right? So it had no influence. My upbringing had no influence on how like I see myself with my present wife because I've loved her from day one. From every other woman that came across me did not have any love I had for my present wife, and this is going back way back. So if I met somebody, I had to know. I mean, the mother of my child, I thought she loved me. you know. So that ended very, very quickly, like 2 years after my daughter was born. But regardless, I've been in my daughter's life every single week.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Every single week, every single month, I'm always on the phone with her. Do you know what I mean? Every other month, every other week. And now she's gonna be 16 next month. So but in my past relationships, I would always test the water, to see. I'm on almost like the brother that spoke previously, like, I couldn't really kind of say that I truly love, because my true love, my first love was my current wife there. So I couldn't say that I loved the women 100%. Yeah, I had a relationship with them. I treated them good, but I just, for some reason, I don't know, everything guided me back to where my wife was. At some point, I did ask a friend of mine, do you know this person? And the person said to me, no, they don't. Meanwhile, that person had been trying to get with my wife from before. Do you know what I mean? I deny that they ever even knew who she was. So you see how fate does its thing, man. I was just like, well, when I did ask her now, she was like, of course he knows who I was. He's been trying to get with me for like years and like stuff like that. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, but yeah. In terms of what the guy was saying about we teach our children what they know, I mean, I don't completely agree with that. I mean, I just, I mean, we as adults, we gotta know the difference between right and wrong, and not try to transmit whatever to our sibling, our offsprings, I should say.
At times,
So
that's difficult not to do though.
yeah, you see,
When you basing your existence on survival, and you dealing with levels of trauma, and you don't actually have a way of understanding how to get through it, like you can transmute that energy and pass it on in an aggressive way towards your child. It's just gonna happen naturally, just because you don't have an outlet. Like that does happen, and I know it personally, and I know people who've done it and go through it personally. So it does happen, bro.
Yeah, I know it does happen. I know it does happen, but let me tell you something, right? When I was growing up with my brother and stuff, I used to play a lot of soccer, right? Like football, English football, right? I used to play a lot of soccer. So I used to get the beating of my life. Trust me. I have the scars on my back to show you. My skin was peeling off my back because my dad would say, "Go and read your books. I told you to read your books and you're playing soccer or football." You know what I mean? Why? I expect you to be home at this particular time, and if you're not home, all hell breaks loose. Do you know what I mean? So I got it bad. But let me tell you something, my brother also got it bad. And like for me, that was discipline. That was how they did it in their days. You know what I mean? And my brother, for some reason, he felt like, oh, that was a bit too much. Blah, blah. I said, but bro, I got the same scars as you. You cannot take it too personally that you got discipline and we got discipline, and then you taking it to a different extreme. So I understand what you're saying, that that survival instincts. But to be quite honest with you, at age 11, I was going to boarding school from here, say from New York to like let's say uh, um, from New York to Philadelphia, maybe by train at age 11. Right, I was going to boarding school. Right, so it's like you have to be strong, and you just have to be. I don't know. Maybe the discipline made me be like nobody can tell me anything apart from my dad. What I mean? And I had to survive that way. I had to like, man, it was not an easy road. Trust me, it was not an easy road. I was one of a kind man.
As far as rearing your children, right? Do you see, or do you think like you display things that came from your household, or is there certain things that you seen in your household that you felt like you needed to stop, like generational curses type things?
Right, with my first marriage, right? We both came from broken families, so I said to her, "Look, we're gonna break this. We're gonna stop this, right?" And I thought I was dealing with somebody who was down with what was going on, but it was like the opposite. But in terms of, you see, my daughter, I only have a daughter, right? I see myself in her. So if she does something, and I know that that's probably something that I would have done, right? Um, Rather than scolding her, I will redirect her and speak to her to understand. Like, for instance, she pulled down the curtain railing when she was about age maybe 3 or 4, or 3 or 4, right? So when she came to visit one time, she saw that I said, "Oh, Rebecca, oh my God." Yeah, okay. And she was looking at me. I didn't know. I said, "That's all right. It's okay. I'll get it fixed." Do you know? She was probably because she was swinging on it and trying to swing on it like it's a swing until it pulled off the wall, right? So I did not touch her. I did not beat her. I just said, "Oh, Rebecca," you know what I mean? And I said, "Don't worry, I'll fix it." Right? Do you know that maybe about 5 years after that, she came to visit, and she said, and she saw that it was a new curtain and all that. You know what she said to me? "Daddy, I'm sorry that I have broke the curtain so many years ago." You know what I mean? And I was like, "It's okay, darling. That was a long, long time ago." She said, but she remembered it. That's the point I'm trying to
Mm.
make. She remembered it. So it depends on how you want to mold your child. Like, things like smoking. You don't smoke in front of children, right? You don't smoke, you don't drink in front of you. So if they don't see you do things like that, they're not going to emulate. They're not going to do what they saw daddy do it and thinking it was all right. So we owe it to ourselves to redirect our children because we are adults. We know the difference between right and wrong. That's all I'm saying.
This is true. Brother, King K Wise, I
Greetings,
can't
King.
hear you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. I don't know. No. So I'm gonna add my 2 cents in why he's getting his volume together.
Yes.
It related to me, and me being a woman, but I felt this could go either way because I truly identified with what he said. Because what happened, so like I grew up in a domestic violence household. So as I see my father, he beat my mom on a constant basis. He yelled and screamed and hollered on a constant basis. So I wasn't the one to do the yell, screaming, and holler. Like I was the opposite when raising my child because it affected me and I knew it affected me, and I was the one, just like how you said, Bertram, I want to break this generational curse because clearly something was going on that my father behaved in this such way. I didn't know what it was. I was afraid to ask, but all I knew was I did not want to continue this behavior down generations from my child. So, despite what he thought was love, because my father distributed love with money. So we always had, we never lacked in my household. So we always had an abundance of whatever he saw fit. So we were comfortable. So I lived comfortable. So I kept the journey going. I live comfortable in my home. I make sure I am comfortable. I make sure my son is comfortable. At the same time, showing him love, and just like how you said, you redirect the discipline and how you want your child to receive what he did, she did. You have to, there's a discipline behind whatever you did that was inappropriate. You need to sit down and discuss it. Let's discuss this. But
Yeah.
at the same time, what also happened to me, because my father did that to my mom, I was a reflection of my mom to receive that type of treatment from a man because I thought that was love in the beginning. So in the beginning, I was like, okay,
Is
this
this
doesn't work
normal?
for me. You're not going to be yelling, screaming, hollering, and
No.
dragging me all over the place and punching me
No.
out and trying to smother me with pillows. That doesn't feel good to me.
No.
So
That's
I
normal.
took a whole different posture. I was like, okay, this is the part where I can't do what my mother did. I can't sit there. She had her reasonings for doing it, and I respect her for it. However, this is my life. And I had to say, okay, this doesn't feel good to me. Let me fight my way out of this thing. So not only did I have to physically do it, but I had to mentally do it. And then I had to be strong enough to not go back to it because I thought it was love. So I had to identify a new way of how I would want to be loved, how I want somebody to love me, even though I can't quite picture like what exactly that would be, but I had to figure it out because I had no one to show me what that was, and I had no one to coach me through that process. But I had a creative mind, and I know what I wanted to feel like. So I would read a lot. I would watch love movies, and I would take those images and put it in my head and say, well, I want to look like this. So now, like, I'm this hopeless romantic now because I'm going to make it happen. And if this is not the picture in my head, I don't want it. And it's not up for debate. So my tolerance level is very short when a man will come into my circumference and like raise his voice. It triggers me back to when my father used to yell. So I have to be mindful of that I don't respond from back then.
Yeah.
So I had to be careful. That's why I'm always careful on how I speak to people. I'm always very careful. I approach people with caution. When I say hello, I say an animated hello because your hello, your response to me will let me know where you are at because I need to meet you where you are at so we can have a good conversation. I can't take it personal what's going on. So I'm always animated. How you doing? What's going on? I always crack a joke because I need to know where you are at so I can proceed with caution because maybe you're not in a good mood and then I can say, okay, well, they're not in a good mood today. And then I can be on about my business. Or if they're in a happy mood, I can join in the happy with you. If you need support, I can join a support train and wrap my arms around you and make it happen for you. But I am always cautious on approaching people because I went through what I went through. So that's why this particular topic hit me in a way where I was like, no, this needs a response. So King K-Wise, are you ready? Can we hear you now?
Oh, so can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Right. Yes, we can hear the brother. We can hear the brother. Come on, yeah,
Hercules,
come on.
Hercules.
Yes.
You know, another thing though, not just the fact of do we mirror our parents, we got to look at what we get from our own environment, what we get from our peers, what we may get from our siblings, what we may get in just our everyday surroundings. Because my parents never stole or taught us how to steal. I learned that from my environment. I learned that from my peers, my siblings, to steal. As far as when that goes back then, I didn't teach that to my children because I know the ramifications of it or what it got me. So I want to make sure if I don't do that, then they see that I don't do that. It's not going to go in that way with them, you know. And I tell you this here, I could not, as much as my father used to whoop our behinds, I cried when I beat my daughter. And that didn't last long at all. I told her mother, listen, I can't do it. I cannot do it. That saying it's going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me. Mm-mm. That thing hurt me so bad. I put that belt down and I went in the room and I cried. And she said, what's wrong with you? I said, I can't do it. I can't do it. So she called me a punk and she went in there and busted her butt. I just couldn't do it because I look at my daughters, they're my jewels. You understand what I'm saying? They're my jewels. So if I hurt them, it's like I know I'm hurting myself, even though I may not mean to hurt them in the physical, like just to hurt them. But the fact that part of that discipline, I had to reconstruct my mindset to them and be like, you know what? I can talk to them more than just use the belt technique, use the extension cord technique, using everything that was in the house, like my parents at times, you know, it's just different modification. You know, the discipline that I got from my house, oh, I can't take it away from nothing. I mean, it built me to be the person that I am and who I became, and I'm grateful for it. But I see the betterment of me to where what I may have initiated within my children, I didn't have to do it the way my parents did because that was a different time and era. So me growing up, I'm in a different time and era with my own. So therefore, hopefully the positive attributes that I have instilled carries on with them and how they will do with their children in the future and so on. You know, I think that when I kick back and be the granddaddy, I'm gonna be like the greatest man on earth because I'm gonna be like granddaddy's so super cool. You know, he just, you
Amen.
know, he just laid back. I'll still give him the side eye. No, you're wrong. But
Yeah.
the greatest thing about that is you can always kick them out, put them back to the parents.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
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 let's take a turn though. Let's take a turn with okay, so I'm in the field of social work. So I've worked with many classifications of men and women. So say like when I had families, based on maybe your social economic status, right? There's a different type of behavior that comes out of a household. So, say a parent that's on temporary assistance, right? They have 4 to 6 kids in a 2 bedroom household. Things are tight. Lifestyles are different. Coping skills are a minimum, right? So your language is not always going to be nice because of the frustrations of your children nagging on you. Then you trying to get your groove on. You can't express yourself the way you want to. So you have this explosive type of personality. And you don't even realize that this is not normal because it's your normal.
Mhm.
I've experienced
Right.
many households. I mean, you could see women when you go outside cussing out their kids, shaking them up, and they have absolutely no patience with their children. The children can't express themselves like they want to, but because they're gonna get cussed out. And when she want to get her groove on, everybody getting cussed out. Get out my effing way. Go in your room, you know, or she lining them up, and then there's the ones that uh, um may have money but just use their money to push their kids aside. They don't discipline their children; they discipline them with money. They reward them even when they fail classes in school. They will have the most, and then it's like all the ones that work all the time that maybe feel guilty that they work all the time and they not around their children all the time, so they reward them with things just because they feel guilty that that they're not with them. Because sometimes you look up, you have a baby when you start out with a baby, but when you look up, your child is now 16. You missed so much in between because grandma, sister, or your children are raising your children because you had to work. You miss a lot of things, and things get translated inappropriately, and it gets embedded in the children. What about latchkey kids? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many different areas that children become a product of their environment, and they tend to do the same thing because they didn't receive the support or the education to properly conduct their lives or their lifestyles. Some of them, some families, they don't even have any ideas of to have a goal. You know, like when I was raised, like we was like, okay, graduate high school and go get a good job. So many people don't even graduate high school. So how could they even thinking about getting a good? Because you can't get a good job with a high school diploma. You have to go to college. And nowadays, going to school to college, like they have so many other ways to make money. So you times have changed. You do not have to do things like how my parents or grandparents did them. That type of structure of making money in the family household is no longer like strong. There's so many other ways, like they'll call it a hustle. You get a hustle, something you're good at, something that you can make the right now money. But do we teach our children the finance how to financially structure themselves on how to make that money last, how to make that money be legendary? Those are the type of discussions I never got that kind of discussion. I never
Yeah.
received that type of education. My father told us to spend the money. Just spend your money. I got you. So whatever money he gave us, we spent it. Even though he told us when you get a job, you save half and you spend half. But because he pushed us, oh, go spend your money. I got you. Daddy got you. So that's how I did. I spent my money. I lived my life. Whatever I wanted, I'm getting it. Like, let's go, y'all. And whoever I was with, they took care of me. So it's like, oh, I didn't want for all of that. So it's all in how you were structured. You're going to be a part of that product, whatever it is. But there's people who are moving on survival only. So they are professional boosters out here. There are people that move very different in each category of life because of their level of survival. What will it take for you to get through to tomorrow? But so many people, if you're comfortable, you're not looking at, well, Dad, did they eat today? And I'm talking about the whole family. Can they take a shower today? There's people that are professional. What do you call the people that take over a house that don't belong to them?
Squatters.
Right. They're professional squatters.
Yeah.
They live in abandoned homes, fix them up, borrow the electricity from next door. This is how they live. This is their lifestyle. But some people take other people's lives for granted, because they're not looking at the next person. That person may be Gucci down, but they're a squatter. They benzed out, but they're a squatter. They're homeless. They live in a homeless shelter. There's so many things that came across my desk, things that people take for granted. So, but there's people that have been in the system and on the system their whole entire lives. I've heard so many stories of fathers and sons in the same jail. That happens. So it's like so important on how we stand as an individual, because our children are constantly looking at us. And Kay, you said it also. Your peers make a serious difference, because there was one time my son just couldn't get it together in school. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm with you all the time. You have a tutor. You have this. He just didn't want to do it. Why? Because his friends were failing. He didn't want to pass because his friends were failing. And his father's talking to him like, he said, why do I have to do this? Because nobody else is passing. I wanted to rip all the skin off his body, but I had to compose myself. Okay, son, let's bring it in now. You are not your peers. You don't have to be like your peers, and it's okay that you're different. So again, we have to pay attention to our children as they're playing these video games, who they're talking to, the music that they're listening to, who they're on Facebook with, Instagram with, Snapchat with, TikTok with.
Yep.
Because this peer situation is strong. My son got arrested with his peers. Boy, you don't even go outside. How you get arrested?
That's strange.
So
Yeah,
and we have to stand in the gap. You understand? Because the system will take down our children. I'm
yep,
at the police station not moving. I'm not moving until you get my son right now.
you're right, right.
Because if they don't see there's a fight, they will drop your
They'll,
kid
they'll, oh
dead
yeah,
behind a bar.
yep. They would.
So we gotta fight for ourselves and fight for our children. So as I'm a mother with a black son, I give my son this speech every summer. Nassau County on Main Street, Nassau Road, they got them little boys lined up, sitting on the curb with their hands behind their back. For what? Because they all look the same. They all coming from basketball practice. Or they all coming from football practice. And you messing with them because they all look the same. So it makes a difference how we stand and deliver for ourselves. That's why it's so important to practice self-care, to practice self-love, to practice of self. Because if we don't stand, how are kids standing?
That's true.
So as a mom of a young black son in this racial climate, we all doing this. It's my son coming back home. And then it's the black on black crime. Don't tell me Black Lives Matter when we killing our own. Don't bring me that speech. Because
Yeah.
his peer could shoot him because he got a better pair of sneakers.
Yep. God forbid. But you see, Elias, let me just jump in quickly. We all seem to have. I don't think the black family has escaped the violence. The domestic violence, the separation. I think every. I wouldn't say every, but I'll probably like say 95% of the black nation have experienced the family dysfunction, the family separation, the violence and the domestic violence in the family. Now, what we need to spread the message is because this violence and stuff and dysfunction has caused a lot of hatred within the black family.
Yes.
And that hatred emanates out of the black family against another black family, against everybody out there in the society, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to start spreading the knowledge of or having these conversations like where, we've got to start learning to love within, love ourselves, love our families, and then love our brothers and sisters out of the family. Because without that love, because we're already damaged already. I'm not going to say, oh, I escaped it or John escaped it. Nobody escaped. We all were victims, and
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes I just think in my head it's systematic. I mean, dude, it's psychological as well. And it's like, okay, what happened to my parents happened in England. The only time that I realized that I wasn't alone with this um broken family business was when I was listening to Donahue in probably 1985. You remember Donahue?
Right.
Donahue said there's like almost 85% of families that are like separated, like like single families and whatnot. I don't cry, but I felt overwhelmed with emotions that I wasn't alone in the world of this separation that, the separation anxiety, right? So I had to, at some point in my life, look at my parents, and I said, okay, I'm gonna take the good bits from my mom, I'm gonna take the good bits from my dad, and I'm gonna take the little good bit that I know about myself and put it all together to make me whole.
That's right.
So that now I can see from both sides of the world or three sides of the world how to navigate this system that we live in. At some stage I was like, oh, there's what the English say, you got a chip on your shoulder. When you got a chip on your shoulder, it means that you're really, really angry, like you're mad. You're mad at the world, you're mad at the people. At some stage I said to myself, I cannot be like this because it's affecting my whole system. I had to learn to work with people that don't look like me so that I can survive. When you have hatred inside and you think, oh, they did this to us, and yes, they did this to us, but we've gotta survive. And if you go the hate route, then they're very quickly they're gonna put you away. And that's what they've done to all of us, our men, our women. Because in the mood of chasing the green paper and the dollars, like you know,
Mm.
when you're angry, you cannot concentrate. You cannot find yourself, to study. There's so much going on. Your mind, your heart. There's so much going on that you cannot concentrate to even study. You know, unless you resolve these issues within yourself and find a spot for yourself, then it's just not gonna happen.
Right.
You're just gonna do the easy part, and the easy part ain't gonna get you where you want to get to. It's
This is
not
so.
easy. It's
It's
not
so
easy.
true. It is so true.
Not
Can you
easy.
have any final words?
Yeah. I just want to add on to what the King was saying. I mean, there's a lot of truth that he was speaking, and one of the things that we studying in our one of our lessons teach, it's hard to lead people in the right direction, but it's so easy to lead people in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When we are the product of our own environment and we are our own poison within, nothing good comes out of it but chaos. When you know the difference, that's when it's time to make a change, because the only way it's going to happen is by the education and re-educating our mindset of what's out here isn't really, this is all material. What is the ultimate goal of each black family? Let's put it this way. It really is to, like you said, to survive. Well, how are we going to survive if we're acting like crabs in a barrel, stepping on one another, fighting to get out instead of forming a chain of thought of unity to where if one makes it up, I'm going to reach back down, pull the next one up with me, go back down. Everybody's now coming up together in one unison. As
Right.
long as we keep being fed negativeness or nothing, the promises of this, that, and the third, and never deliver, and we remain gullible because we look for the easy way to get out instead of making our way and and not have to depend on the negative for survival. When we make our own course of survival and they see this, and it's like, we don't got to really deal with you. We're going to teach our children. We're going to teach our babies this. We're going to teach them the finances. We're going to educate them becoming mathematical sciences, doctors, everything in which we can do to keep us at a state of being level or moving in together, focusing. But as long when the thing is, when we do that, we become public enemy number one again, because it's a threat to the other society that we're doing something positive that doesn't really mostly include them in the way that they want to take away from, because now we're organizing our own. We're furnishing our own. We are surviving on our own. So now we are a threat to the minority who holds majority principles in this land that we call America here. And that ain't just here, that's all over.
all over the place.
Especially in South Africa. Okay? That apartheid nonsense and all that was going on, that's real stuff. But when it's a no factor whenever. It's just like you look at what we talk about, you gave the best example. Just being black here in America, or just being black in the world, period. It's like there's a target on our backs 100%.
Yeah,
I remember this back in Freeport, where we were just hanging out on the corner, talking. Nobody was smoking, nobody was drinking. We were just hanging out on the corner. Police drive by, one squad car go by. Okay, next thing we know, 2, 3 squad cars go by, and all of a sudden they all pulling up. What are y'all doing here on the corner? We minding our business. Why? It's too many of y'all gathered around. I mean, so are we robbing anybody? Are we shooting at each other? No, we're grown, we're black young boys out here just having a conversation. We do, but because we black and we gathered in a bunch, that means there's trouble according to anybody else. I've been called on for the police because I've been hanging out in a corner with people just talking. Because they're scared, because they don't know what's going on, but what they see as an appearance is scaring them. But they way in their own home comfort. But they on the phone. Oh, there's about 5 or 6 black Negroes out there. I don't know what they're doing. They look like they're up to no good. All we're doing is talking. How's that no good? So we gotta fight the system. You know what I'm saying? We gotta go against that grain. We have to be the ones to stand up and say, look, we're not going to take that. Look at all this stuff that's going on in our society right now. And if we don't know this by now to unify, I feel so sad for our people not to say enough is enough. Okay? If we're going to mirror our parents, because our parents and foreparents, they fought hard. They fought a lot harder than what we're going through right now. They fought, and I mean, they used a lot of their wit to overcome a lot of the heartaches and pains that they went through. I mean, from our ancestors come over here on the slave ships and been fighting and breaking the chains, waiting, still been put down by the same people that brought us over here. We look like as third-class citizens, like we lower than the dogs that they have, man's best friend. We can care less about us. Okay, keep your dogs, keep your society. I'm gonna redo mine, and I'm gonna build my people up. My people is more than just bees and holes and ants and you know what I'm saying, all the negative things that you give us and glorify us in this platform. Like, that's a badge of honor. Ain't no badge of honor for me to call a woman out of her name. Ain't no badge of honor to call a black man out of his name. I call you king. I call you queen. I call you God. I call you goddess. The point is, we have to get rid of those stereotypes that has been implanted in our brain for the negative thought and flip it around and have a positive unification and get back to what Black Wall Street was about.
But there's a lot of communities.
That's the mirroring of our parents.
There's a lot of communities working on it. So that's going to be another topic. That's definitely going to be another topic. So tonight, gentlemen, I thank you so much for coming in, stopping by, and sharing your hearts and souls, and definitely your powerful minds. I am appreciative of you, and thank you so much. And I see you next week. So we're going to close it out. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by tonight. Definitely a conversation to have. Do you mirror your parents? A definite thought-provoking statement. Well, I'm sorry, question. And, you really have to go, let me think about that. But it definitely struck a chord with me when I heard the gentleman speak on the video. I'm a TikTok. I love TikTok and I love videos because people like vision. they respond to vision, looking at things, right? Not just hearing, but looking at it, not just reading, but looking with their eyes, what's moving, what's action making, right? So I'm into sharing videos. I'm also working on speaking more often in videos, but I like what we come to do and share our experiences every single week. Again, this is Where's My King, hashtag the men's locker room, where we talk about men topics, about men, for men, and about men, and also the women. We learn from it, we can share in it, and we can be educated and become better individuals. And all of us working together, all it is doing is improving who we are. One thing I do live by is improving myself every single day and to become better than I was yesterday. But again, my name is Eliasa Simpson, aka Minister Charge, aka Coach Illy. We are here in the charge room every single week, every Wednesday for Queens Must Wear Crowns, and that's for women. And every Thursday for men, Where's My King, hashtag the men's locker room. Again, every Sunday I am on iHeartRadio. Come in, check me out every Sunday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we just all around on the board. Social media, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. If you missed any show that we had since we started, it is on YouTube. So you can subscribe to us and get a notification to never miss a show that we are on. See you again next week. And thank you, thank you, thank you so much for coming.
I wanna get away.